Welcome back, everyone. How are you all doing today? So, one of the biggest questions for the Star Wars sequel trilogy has all to do with Snoke's identity and his backstory. Now, I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that Snoke is one of, and by far, the most mysterious character in the sequel trilogy that was actually initiated by J.J. Abrams. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that a lot of people are really mystified about is, of course, exactly who is Snoke and where does he come from? What's his background? What's his backstory? We do know that JJ will be exploring aspects of this in episode 9 as well in the Age of Resistance comic line, which is actually dropping just before the release of episode 9. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with Snoke's identity and hints and or indicators of who he really is. Specifically, a description of Snoke who appears to be younger, without his scars and injuries. It's said that Snoke is next to General Leia and other political figures. It's described to be a sequence where dialogue of Leia is explaining parts of Snoke's backstory, where that Carrie had shot a scene with Harrison Ford for The Force Awakens, in which he talked more about Snoke that will be used for this flashback scene. It's additionally described that Snoke often told Kylo Ren about his connections to the New Republic and discussed politics. It said that Snoke had deep ties to the New Republic and developed a grudge against it. Additionally, it's described that Snoke in the sequence has fine blonde hair and a black robe. Now, there are a couple of things that I really want to go over about Supreme Leader Snoke. Now, first things first, we do know that J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and Andy Serkis all know Snoke's backstory and are keeping it a secret intentionally if they ever wanted to explore it in a future movie and or a future Star Wars trilogy. Now, with that being said, the first thing that really does get me very excited about this film and really interested in the character of Supreme Leader Snoke is that it does seem to fill in the gaps of exactly how Leia knew Snoke, with the mention of the sequence where Snoke is next to Leia in this conference room that is actually connected to the New Republic and that Snoke had ties to the New Republic where he eventually developed a grudge against it. Now, not only that, Snoke would also deliver a lot of conversations, of course, to Kylo Ren, telling him about his political connections with, of course, his own mother, General Leia Organa, and exactly his connections to the New Republic itself. So I think it's pretty safe to say that Snoke was once a politician before the events of the sequel trilogy and could most definitely explain as to why Snoke actually does discuss politics to Kylo Ren. This was also explored in some of the canon books and novels out there that do exist under the Disney canon for the Star Wars franchise itself. So the next thing that I do really want to go over is, of course, how Snoke appears to be younger in this sequence. This is a major hint and or indicator, obviously, that this is a flashback scene where he has longish, fine blonde hair and, of course, has no injuries and or those scars that we do get to see in both The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. Now, the thing here is this, when we look at the character of Supreme Leader Snoke, we do know that J.J. Abrams has a lot of tricks up his sleeve with the sequel trilogy and will be exploring elements of his backstory and of his identity in episode 9 that will move some of the characters like Kylo and Rey forward in episode 9's plot. So, with that being said, I gotta say one more thing here. When we look at the character of Snoke, we do know that they are really trying to explore that character on a deeper level, not only in the comics, but also in future canon pieces like books and novels, and even partially in episode 9 in the form of visions, holograms, dream sequences, whatever have you, for this character. Now, the thing that really does pique my interest for this movie is exactly what will the revelation be for the character of Supreme Leader Snoke in episode 9. We do know that J.J. Abrams is going to be exploring a lot of different angles of the Star Wars universe and will be inserting that into this movie that's going to make us look back at The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens in a different way, to the point where we're going to actually look at Snoke in a different way. Now, I will say one thing, that when I actually watched episode 8, I was very let down when they killed Snoke off so early on in the sequel trilogy, where he didn't have a backstory explained, he didn't really, have any kind of major scenes per se, he was just in the throne room, and that was it. Now, I think that a lot of people at the end of the day, they really wanted to see sequences involving both Luke and Snoke together on the same exact screen, sequence itself. Having these two characters confront each other and explaining more about the events before the events of course, the sequel trilogy. Now, with that being said, guys, what do you think about Supreme Leader Snoke as a character? I will say that I'm very interested in exactly what JJ will explore and will explain in the upcoming Star Wars sequel trilogy film that will bring a close, an end, if you will, to the Skywalker saga. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one from night to moon.